Alright, what's going on, guys? It's Chris here, or CD Chili Style, and I have been seeing a bunch of things on the subreddit about best cruisers in the game, and the two that popped up the most is I definitely said Mogami, and a lot of people said the Charles Martel was really good, and as you can see, I don't have tons of ships, but it's mainly because I've played Iowa a lot, 472 elite XP, and I have played Mogami a lot. So the past 2 months, I would say, I found these two ships that worked for me, and they were a lot of fun. And I've used them so much, it's ridiculous. And that was pretty much all I played with. But that being said, I've played tier 7 a lot, so I know what's good because I play against it a lot. And if it beats me out, like the other day, the Charles Martel beat me out purely based on his reload, which is, I would say, like 2.5 seconds faster than Mogami with the right upgrades, and his turret layout, because he gets 6 barrels up front, and he can be directly bowing on me, and I had to angle a little bit, and he just actually wrecked me. And his torpedo angles are a lot better. So I know Charles Martel is good, but I just haven't. I hate La Glacionier, and I haven't heard anything about the Algerie, so I am not too keen on grinding it so far. Plus, I think I'm going after the lightning. Anyways, we're getting off track. So I wanted to do a little list of just a little overview of the Japanese cruisers, short and to the point. This is not going to be a 10-minute video. I know I've already talked. I will put a timestamp in to go over things. As you can see, though, I have sold a bunch of these ships because this is when I first started playing. I went straight through this cruiser first when I first started playing a couple months ago. Then I fell in love with the Japanese destroyers and sold them all because I was looking for quick cash because I didn't have premium at the time, and that was a huge mistake. Tip number 1, do not sell your ships because you sell them for half the price, and if you want them back, you're gonna have to pay full price again, so you're losing a lot of time and money doing that, so don't. I'm really only gonna be going over the last 4 because, I mean, all of your 1, 2, and 3s are gonna be about the same. So first off, we're gonna start with Furutaka. If you're thinking about grinding this line, Furutaka for me was probably the hardest because, one, turret traverse is very slow. It's a super long target, like you can see, like you can get this thing in the camera here, and it's just, I don't know, there's a lot of better tier 4 ships, and like for one, the Konigsberg, and even the Omaha. For me, the guns are weird because it's probably your first time ever getting guns bigger like this. The reload's super long, and it's definitely a tough ship to get through. Luckily it's tier 4, so it doesn't take too long, and yeah, it's tough, but I will say that the Aoba, the next ship, is 100% worth it. It is, I don't even know how many times better, but just, I mean, it's so much more playable due to having the same number of guns, but the turret layout is just so much better and so much more usable. Your biggest thing with this thing is Japanese are going to be kiting ships. They have very long-range torpedoes, and their fire chance is always going to be more or less above like the other cruisers. So you will be shooting HE a lot with this thing. Not to say that the AP for these things can do really well, because Yamamoto, the cruiser captain for the Japanese, makes AP very good. So but as you can see, 17% chance fire is ridiculous, when I think the most you can get on tier 5, I think the Pensacola might be second with like 15%, but that's, you know, that's 100% geared up for fire chance, I think. So the turret layout makes the ship so much more playable. 10 km torpedoes on a cruiser at this tier is insane. Maximum damage, like you can absolutely wreck people with this thing. You know, just shooting them at battleships, kiting away, they'll chase you, you're bound to hit. And that's going to be the kind of play style that kind of, you know, runs these next 2 tiers with the from the Aoba all the way to the Mogami. And we're going to go ahead and go to the Myoko because, I mean, after the Aoba, all these ships are pretty much the same, except for they just get bigger and better. So as you can see, your turret's almost double. Well, the turret's double. Your gun's almost double. You get 10 203s, and these things, AP, can actually pack a punch. HE's amazing again. You know, you just get a little bit more range. Hit points not terrible. You're very squishy though, so I mean you're going to be kiting again. You get another 10 km torpedoes, and they're kind of slow. 59 knots is not fast at all. I would say good torpedoes start at like 62. I mean 3 knots can be massive. You can definitely tell when they're slow torpedoes or when they're fast. Like I think like the Moss, like German torpedoes are fast, Japanese torpedoes are fast. For destroyers, that is. Anyways, the main thing with this thing is you can be killed super easily with all of these ships. I mean, that just goes for any cruiser, and this is no exception. You will be using HE mainly to kite. You will be more or less, let's say if your target is one of those buildings back there, you're going to be like this. You're going to be angled like this running away most of the time. I mean, that gives the ship the smallest target to shoot, and you can also, you know, wiggle so you can miss shots, and that's going to give you the best shot at dodging things. And your torps will be able to shoot backwards, because all the torp angles on the Japanese ships are the one thing that hurt it the most, I would say. And so like you have to shoot your torps this way, and it's super bad on Myoko. Mogami's a little bit better, not much though. So you're going to be fighting ships at this angle facing back towards the shoreline there, and you'll be shooting. You will devastate people with fires. I've gotten so many witherers with Mogami. I mean, not so many, but that was the one thing that I hadn't had because I never played for it, and I have already gotten like 6 or 7. Not even really trying, and they just happen. So moving on to the pride and joy of the Japanese Navy is going to be the Mogami, and I probably have a stupid camera on. Oh no, okay. So Mogami is just an insanely buff Myoko. What really helped this thing out is they gave it heals, and I have 3 because I have Yamamoto, and he gives you an extra heal. So people said that like this really won't help that much because of most cruisers get damaged through citadels and AP damage, and you can only heal 10% of that, which, you know, isn't the best. But I have healed, you know, there has been so many times in the game where if I didn't have heals, I would have been dead, or my health would have been severely low. And the lower your health is, the less, you know, the less things you can do. You know, if you have more health on a guy, you can open up more just to get that kill shot on him and then not take as much in return. If you're super low health, you have to stay bow in. And these turrets are weird because you have to be cantered a little bit to get that middle turret there firing. It's such... It would be so much better if it had 6. That's why the Charles Martel with 6 up front, and its turret layout is a little bit better. But you have to be angled kind of like here to shoot at a target that would be like behind this camera. And most of the times you'll be okay, but battleship shells and even the US cruisers with their improved penetration angles, they will absolutely wreck you. So, that being said, I love this ship. I think I've maxed her out at like 180k damage. I can't seem to break 200k. Like for you to have a really high game, a lot of things have to fall into place. Like obviously you have to be really good to land the shots when they're given, but I mean there's been multiple times where like and you guys probably know, the game starts and 5 minutes in, like one team's either potatoed, 5 ships are dead, and you know, game's pretty much over. There's not much you can do. That being said, this thing plays exactly like the Myoko. You just have to be, you're a little bit bigger target. Like you see how wide you are here? You are actually a pretty fat target, especially when you're kiting. If you can get citadeled from, well, the ass very easily, but once you learn how to kind of wiggle and shoot and turn the turrets and shoot the torpedoes, you're actually a very hard target. And there's been so many times where I'll be in a match and I'll be almost full health, but I'll have over like 100k damage, and you know, I've contributed a lot, and that's the biggest thing that people need to learn how to do when playing cruisers, especially high tier, because you're very vulnerable, and it doesn't matter how much health you have. Like if you see at the end of a game a BB with full health, you're like, oh wow, like dude hasn't done anything. But that could be, you know, more times than not, like in a cruiser, you need to learn how to shoot from stealth in Hive Islands, because you do nothing for your team if, oh yeah, like look, I'm beaten up, I've done something for my team. Like no, like your only role basically is, you know, being quick, supporting battleships, destroying destroyers, and these guns, trust me, the AG on these guns will absolutely wreck any destroyer. I mean, 2 salvos it can take, you know, it's ridiculous. And shooting from stealth and starting fires, like your DPM on this thing is absolutely insane. What I always try to do when I play this ship is find a lane where a spawn is, kind of turn and make sure I'm angled out, and then make sure I get my torpedoes away and just shoot them randomly, because if you know where the choke points are, shooting torps in those spots at the beginning of the match, you know, they can yield you pretty good results. I actually devastated a destroyer the other day on 2 brothers doing this. I don't know how he didn't see it. It must have just surprised him. And these torps will absolutely one-shot a DD, because they do like 16k? No, 17k. So yeah, no destroyer is going to stand this. Another thing is they're super slow, so I actually haven't had the best luck of shooting these. But you get 2 quad launchers per side, so you can shoot 8 on this side, then you can turn your butt this way and shoot 8. So there's 16 torpedoes. Knowingly, this is kind of hard to do if you're getting targeted, because you really have to turn like right here. So you have to turn a lot more than you think to shoot these, but they are still very powerful. This ship is very good. Including thoughts, up until tier 5, these are probably the worst of the cruisers in the game, I would say. Very difficult to use, just not a lot of power, kind of goofy. Tier 4, I would say, is probably one of the hardest, just because Konigsberg is the most dominant cruiser in the game. It is absolutely insane. But if you're thinking about grinding this line, it is 100% worth it. Mogami is a top tier cruiser, no doubt, if you know how to use them. The only thing that would stop players is they have a very high, I don't know, they're very hard to learn how to use, but if you're sneaky and you like being sneaky, and you know how to shoot from stealth, and you know like what targets to prioritize, and you know when to start fires on ships, or what ships to shoot if they've burned damage control, then you will excel in these ships, and they're definitely top tier in my book. I haven't used every tier 7 cruiser, but I know from facing them in so many battles, I know what I can beat and what can give me those problems. The biggest problem I've seen is either Charles Martel, which that was one instance, but head-to-head it would be, and Hipper. Hipper is very difficult. You cannot Citadel him up close because he has a turtleback armor scheme just like the battleships, and I learned that the hard way. But anything else, you know, you can do pretty well against. I would say tier 7's all pretty balanced out, I would say, but I just like having the 11k and torpedoes. And that was pretty much longer than I thought it would be, and I'll put timestamps in to take out the first couple of minutes of me just rambling. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and I'm thinking about doing destroyers and battleships as well, and other lines that I've completed. This was a quick guide on the Japanese cruisers, and I 100% think they are worth it. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy.